Hey everyone, welcome to Murphy's Law Garage. Let me show you how to prevent a possibly dangerous oopsie. What am I talking about? Well, it's this bolt right here that goes from the upper control arm, or the camber arm as it's called, into the knuckle. And this sucker, it broke on me the last time I torqued it. Now, I don't think I put an impact wrench on this at any point, but I do take this stuff apart a lot. And I've got a feeling that this was a failure due to fatigue and not over torquing, because I do use a torque wrench on my suspension components. And I had to, in a quick emergency repair, go get a grade 8 bolt to put in here to fill this hole. But I wanted to bring it to your attention. If you take your suspension apart a lot like I do and drag race and get up on the tire, all of the other bolts in the suspension, they're captured on both sides. They're supported on both sides by metal. But this guy right here has a break point right here inside of this sleeve area where it's a pinch. It's not supported on both sides, so it's easy to put a lot of sideways leverage on the bolt. Let me show you the other one. Here's the side that still has the stock bolt. You can see how awkwardly long it is. You can see clearly with the witness marks how often it's come off. But it's actually easier to see just how much pressure is applied to this bolt right here as a shear point to a very sensitive place in the car, because as the suspension moves up and down under torque loading, a ton of pressure gets put on this bolt. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. What I have here is some very expensive bolts from MMR, but all they are ARP bolts. And just for data purposes, the distance between the underneath of the head and the end of the bolt is 90 millimeters. And it is a 12 by 1.5 bolt. Do with that information what you will if you want to go find this from an ARP distributor. And then you'll need a 12 by 1.5 locking nut to go on the other end. Some washers would be nice too to help support it. Anyways, the ARP bolt is significantly stronger than the stock one, or even that 8.8. I think the stock one is, Ford uses, what is that, like a grade 10 bolt or something like that. It's a really, really strong bolt meant for chassis and suspension components. This is even stronger than that. So we're going to put this ARP bolt in there, and that is going to significantly improve the safety and reusability of taking this sucker in and out of here. All right, so I went ahead and pulled all the bolts off the car, and I was correct. Ford uses a 10.9 bolt here, which in metric world is an extremely, extremely strong bolt. It's about equivalent to this 8.8 that I was using here, this grade 8 bolt. Not an 8.8, grade 8 bolt, but not quite. This has a little bit more tensile strength, and this has way more tensile strength than this guy does. You also notice that the ARP bolt here, that MMR spec, is shorter, so you get rid of that extra length. Something I wanted to say is that while removing this guy, the nut walked a little bit and felt very tight, dragging off of the threads. I'm pretty sure, yeah, look, you see it right there? This one's about to break too. I'm almost positive that this is both torque retorque and impact failure from being highly stressed. Now, what MMR doesn't do is they don't give you washers for this stuff, and you really need to be supporting both sides. This nut is going to gouge into the aluminum if you don't put a washer, and the head on this isn't quite big enough, in my opinion, to comfortably support the bearing in my my BMR camber arms, and nor would it the stock. So I'm going to go ahead and get some washers on this and show you how we're putting that in there. All right, here's the combo I landed on here. I've got a larger, more fender style washer on this end to offer some support to that bearing. And then on this side, I've just got a washer. It's a little bit bigger than the nut, but it's gonna prevent the nut from digging into the knuckle and get us a proper torque spec. All right, I wanted to say, if you're like me and you've got the BMR camber arms, these things are really sensitive to good lubrication. This bit right here is actually where the car rides up and down. So you can tighten this with the suspension unloaded if you need to. You can actually see the wear from the movement. you need to make sure you keep a good moly grease on this surface right here where it slides into the bearing. And then of course, this goes into the knuckle here. And then the heim joint itself, this guy, you can get some PTFE dry lube in here. If you stick this bearing in and kind of hang one of your bolts out of it, you can really get some leverage on this joint and move it around and then get some lube in here. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get some lube in all of these surfaces and then I'm gonna put that bolt back in. All right, so I just wanted to show you, I actually put the smaller washer on this side so that it catches all of the center bearing as well as the heim joint bearing. It's important that they shouldn't have sent this without a washer here, because you really need to grab the whole ledge of this heim joint or it could just come apart. It does catch it, but just barely. So I've got the small washer on this side, which replaces the just barely, which is like a 1/16 of an inch. And then I'm gonna put the large washer and nut on this side. I should say you really need to grease all of this up. If you don't, technically BMR says not to because it attracts dust and yada, yada, yada. If you don't put good moly grease in all of this, it's gonna squeak. Listen to me, it will put grease on it. All right, and after torquing to 76 foot-pounds, which is the recommended torque spec from the factory, I'm sure this bolt can handle way more than that. In fact, I know it can. We're all good to go, all lubed up, all put back together again, and probably near zero risk of that breaking and flying off. I don't know, guess we're gonna find out. Anyways, thank y'all for watching this video. We love you, God bless. Peace.